Well, hi. So here's what we're going to do is I'm just going to orient you in terms of sailing and the wind. All right, so what we've done is put on the horizon in this simulation a clock face. So if you notice, there's 12, 1 o'clock over there, 11, 10, 9, 8, all the way 6, all the way around. And so we've placed this clock face on the horizon so that you can really orient yourself to the wind. So right now you can see the wind direction, it's right there, and if you ever look at the top of the mast, there's always a wind vane up there and it points to where the wind's coming from as well. So what we use is 12 o'clock is where the wind comes from. Alright, so that's a little bit off the wind over here, and we're going directly across the wind at 9 o'clock right now. Alright, so we can sail anywhere we want around here. There's 8 o'clock to the wind, and we can come up to 10 o'clock on the wind. When we do that, we're going to have to adjust the sails. We'll learn that a little bit later. Just going to adjust the sails here a little bit, tighten them up. And so this red here, this is called the no-go zone. You can't sail into that, and guess what? Well, it's pretty obvious. Like, the wind's coming from over there, so you can't sail directly into the wind. So you always sail a little bit off. So about 30 degrees off the wind, which happens to be about 11 o'clock, is what you can sail at. I'm just tightening the sails up. Yeah, nice. So we can sail 11 o'clock. We can't sail into this pink zone, but we can sail to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And every time we sail to a different o'clock position relative to the wind, all we do is we just adjust the sails. So it's really, really simple. We'll do it, and you can see this. Here's the wind coming from right here, and you'll be able to see it, feel it on your face. I don't have a fan going in the room here right now, but once you're out on the water, you can feel it. Now what we can also do on this boat is we can just jump to the other side of the boat, and now we're sailing on the high side of the boat. So I'm just going to do a little tack, and we're going to tack through the wind, through the no-go zone, come out the other side, right there. All right, let's winch the sail in a bit, tighten it up, nice and tight. There you go. So we're sailing along at 1 o'clock, and now the wind's from over here. Okay, so let's go to 2 o'clock. Oh, heeling over a little bit. So let's let this guy out a little bit. There you go. And we'll let out the mainsail a little bit. So all you're doing when you're sailing is you're just picking a direction relative to the wind, and then you set the sails. So let's tighten him up a bit because he's flapping. Tighten this guy up a little bit because he's flapping. We'll jump over to the high side of the boat. So this is our virtual reality sailing training program. It's absolutely amazing. There's exercises that you go through, and before you know it, in about 2 hours, you'll be able to, quote, sail a boat. Now, you can't sail a boat, don't get out on the water and go sail a boat just because you can do it in virtual reality. Get a friend, get a instructor, a knowledgeable friend, and go sailing. Get used to it, and get used to how the wheel works and how it turns, and feel the wind on your face, and just get used to it. There's a lot more complication to sailing, so I'm just actually speaking to the lawyers right here, right now, so that we never get busted for do it in virtual reality and you can sail. So we're not saying that. Sailing's very complicated, but this is just getting rid of the basics. Okay, I just whacked myself in the face right there. Okay, all right, so that's a good orientation to sailing. Let's tack the boat, come back over here, and set the sails, tighten them up. I can use my hand to winch. Oh, there's a table right there. Ow. Can use this button, tighten the sails up. All right, and then we can just, this is called bearing away from the wind. All right, so bearing away from the wind. The boat slows down because the sails are not set right. So now we're sailing at about 8 o'clock. Notice the speed, if you can see that, it's about 2 knots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the sail way out because that's where it needs to be when you're sailing downwind. So we can capture a lot more wind. Whoa, our speed just jumped up to 8 knots. 8.9 knots right there. and see we're turning away from the wind. That's where the wind's coming from, and it's coming from over here. Now in this program we can turn off things, we can turn off the clock, so as you get used to sailing you can turn off the clock, you can turn off the no-go zone, and so you can turn off all these guides as you start to get used to sailing, so you can be more like you are on a real sailboat.